This is the Grow Business Podcast with Cory Mosley.
I feel like the mic is low mic. You got low mic.
You got this piece off.
I don't know what I'm doing. This isn't my department. The mic. I don't know. I'll just slouch down.
You show up when it's ready.
Listen, anybody that's not watching this on YouTube doesn't know that I'm gonna have neck scoliosis because Willie H has. I don't know what he's done to my microphone. Oh, we'll get it up there. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, as usual, the opening rant lets you know you are in the right place.
Welcome back.
And that place is the Grow Business Podcast. That's right. I'm your host, Cory Mosley.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm feeling get you today.
That's good. Yeah,
I'm joined by the incomparable. When's the last time, if ever, anybody has referred to you as incomparable? The incomparable LG007 Lon Graham is in the building.
Reason. Voice of reason.
It's good to see you, Cory. It's good to be
Yes. And of course, we like to see how he does 50-50, 70-30, or will he nail it and hit it out the box? You know who I'm talking about? None other than Willie H is here. Hit the buttons, William. Hitting the buttons for your pleasure. He was button crazy a few episodes ago. He was just
Lord have
mercy. Yeah. Bigger than bomb. It was like he was testing the emergency button system.
Well, he came out of the gate. He came out of the chute hot.
Yeah, he came out hot. You know, it's I think there's a direct correlation to energy levels based on the time of day.
Oh, for sure.
Sometimes when we do these things. So like, you know, when you're in that clock watching moment, which of course I never am. I mean, we get lost in time, you know, just being here because we're so enthralled with the emotions of being here doing this podcast.
Well, it's like a casino in Vegas, right? There's no clock.
That's
so
right.
We really don't know what time it is.
Yeah, well, the clock's not. Nobody started the clock, so that would be great, Willie H, if we started the clock. So
we have a timer.
We had some idea of how long we were. Yeah, we have a timer, but we don't know the time. That is a good point.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, we have some resources like a good old fashioned watch and some things here to do that. But we've got another great show for you. We're actually picking up on a part 2.
Yes.
That we were talking about a pros and cons discussion, a part 2 pros and cons discussion that we were talking about relative to the role that luck and gut instinct can play in business success.
Yes.
Because I've heard people literally say, you know, because, you know, a lot of people, you know, there's a tendency to want to come and I'm in the information business, so I understand acronyms and coming up with nice talking points and you know, obviously do a lot of media, so having a hit piece, I get all that. But sometimes some people just give you straight talk, right? And there are a lot of people out there that I've heard now that will do various interviews, and they're just straight up like, hey, you know, the guy that goes around like, asking millionaires how they've been successful. Like he'll go to like a shopping center and see a guy get out of Bentley and go question him. Right. And one of the guys was just like, he's like, what are one of the most valuable business tips or things that have happened to you? He's like, you got to be lucky. Right. Like luck plays a role.
It does.
It's not all tactical. It's not all luck. Right place, right time, things like that, and the gut feeling. I can think about I can literally go to some of the worst decisions I've ever made in terms of interaction, and go back and say to myself, I knew that this was going to go bad the moment I did it. Right. Whether that's accepting a client. Right. For, you know, the wrong reasons. Revenue is never a wrong reason, I suppose, when you're in business. But just interactions, relationships. Right. And I go back and I go, I knew the moment I did X or agreed to do Y that it was going to be. My gut told me it was wrong, and I did it anyway for a reason, assumably more important or more urgent. It's probably a better word, right? More urgent than, you know, than knowing that it was not a good decision.
Well, we can talk ourselves into and out of anything we want to.
That's
right?
your mind's job. Your mind's job, I don't know, neuroscientists, send me an email. Your mind's job is to reinforce a decision after you make it. It's designed to support you, whatever it is, whatever bad decision. Krispy Kreme donuts, because you saw the light on when you were driving past, even though it's 11 o'clock at night, that light was on and those donuts were moving.
It was a sign, Cory.
Yeah, it literally was a sign, right? They're very good at that. Marketers are very good at that. 100%. And no matter who you think you are, we are all susceptible to it.
Right.
I saw a Domino's I don't even eat Domino's pizza. I saw a Domino's pizza commercial like 7 times while we were watching one show.
Okay.
And it was right around dinner time.
Right.
And my wife and I love pizza. Now, we love good pizza. Sorry, Domino. I don't want to ruin any potential sponsorships. Shout out to Domino's. Hello.
Yay.
But we saw it, and they were advertising like this big New Yorker, and, we're from Jersey. Foldable slices, the whole thing. I'm like, against our better judgment, right? This your gut told you, right? Against my better judgment, let's try it.
Right.
Because the marketing worked. And then this big pizza that they pitched is this big New York slice pizza was the size of a quarter.
Ooh. Lord have mercy.
And then later that night, we're like, why did we do this?
Right.
So maybe we need to have, we when we start the call-in portion of the show or the like Zoom-in portion, Willie H is getting really excited as I talk about more technical details for him to manage. Maybe we'll have to have like a neuroscientist on or something to really explain it to us. But today, pros and cons of luck. Now, in part 1, we did the pros.
Correct.
And we got so far off the rails with that that we were like, we have a decision to make.
Correct.
Are we going to have a 45-minute podcast, or are we going to have an hour and 45-minute podcast? So we decided to break it up and do part 2. So we're doing part 2 today, and part 2 of luck and gut in business. So what are the cons? And I mean, I won't recap because you should have.
It's recorded.
You should have. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's recorded. So beat it. So let's just go. Let's just go into the cons. All right. So the first con of luck and gut.
Okay.
In success in business is unpredictability.
Okay.
Just the pure idea that luck is, of course, inherently random and unreliable, which certainly can make it a risky foundation for decision making. And gut feelings, of course, can be inconsistent and influenced by emotions or biases, leading to unpredictable outcomes.
Well, part of it is, what you said just a couple minutes ago, Cory, is that our brain is wired to justify the feelings that we have.
Right.
And so, if we have a gut feeling, that gut feeling is usually based on our experience, and not all of our experiences are good. So you can have a gut feeling and make a decision based on a bad experience.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that it's going to turn out good. It is still unpredictable.
Right.
Good
Your
luck
gut
and bad luck is unpredictable.
Yeah. And I went with my gut. Yep. Speeding ticket.
Right. Well, I don't see any police officers.
Yeah. My gut told me to go the other way. 7-car pile up.
Right.
Now I'm an hour late. Yeah.
Right.
So your gut can be wrong.
Correct.
Yeah. Just like people. Just like people.
That's all right, 2.5 hours.
Church say amen. Yeah. Willie H is coming so hot. I can't. Willie H, you got to get in the groove. I had already started talking. What did you hit? Hit the button again. What was that? Woo. When the church say amen. Okay, yes, I got it. He's on top of me.
Right.
I love the veracity under which he is pushing those buttons, right? All right. So unpredictability.
Yes.
Number 2, of course, your gut and luck. Not exactly a data-driven decision. So there's no data based in that. Relying on luck and intuition, of course, can result in decisions that are not supported by data.
Right.
Or lawn evidence. Pesky evidence.
Right.
Which potentially overlooks critical information.
Yes.
And, of course, data-driven strategies are more reliable and provide a clearer understanding of market trends and customer behaviors. What do you think about that?
Well, I think, yes. I mean, data, when you can use data, especially data that is the majority data, right? You're looking at majority data and you can say, okay, well, this is what I can predict is going to happen.
Right.
And you go with your gut because you're like, well, I'm the 30%.
Right.
And it doesn't always work out. And so you're right. And sometimes you're just hungry. And when you're hungry, you're not necessarily making a good decision with your gut either.
Voice. Jesus. Willie H. I'm trying to create the lane.
Trying to set one up for him.
Like, I mean, we're not even in a booth. I'm looking right at you, dude. You're not like hidden away. We're making eye contact on this deal. Work with me, brother. Work with me. All right. Ooh, we need to make that one. I like that. The work with you, brother. Work with me. Go back and make that
That's a good one.
What do we call these? Voice over. What do we call those little like
hits or something?
Buttons.
Yeah.
Sound bites.
Sound bites.
Sound bites, sound effects. Sound bites. Okay. Yeah. All right. Folks, we're working it out. We're don't worry. By episode 400, we will have this thing as a well-oiled machine.
We're not quite in the 40s. We're in the lower 40s.
That's right. All right. Unpredictability, lack of data-driven decisions, making sense, of course. I mean, I don't know if that... I am going to throw in a little recap on the previous ones, just on this one as a refresher.
Sure.
At the end. So kind of now you can, like, what's fun about this here is like make your own decisions.
Right.
But like, here's the information.
Right.
All right. Unpredictability, lack of data-driven decisions. 3, bias and subjectivity. So gut feelings can be heavily influenced by personal biases leading to skewed or irrational decisions because none of us have ever made any irrational decisions before. Emotional responses can cloud judgment and result in decisions that are not in the best interests of the business.
Yes. Yeah, that's a know your state situation too, right? I mean, know where your head is, know what you're feeling. Are you making a decision as a reaction to something?
Right.
Are you trusting your gut or are you reacting to your gut? And sometimes you're making a decision and that reaction is based on a bias or based on a previous experience or based on perspective. I talk about perspective a lot.
Yeah.
People make decisions based on their perspective, and that's not necessarily the most accurate information.
Right. And also, we'll talk about the lens, right? The lens
Correct.
under which somebody's looking through. Right. I think the interesting thing here is this is another point where you illustrate the differences between an emotional decision and a thought-based decision. Right. Because you're fighting that idea.
Right.
Like you're almost fighting yourself. Your brain's telling you to do one thing, your emotions telling you to do another, and it's like who wins in that situation?
Yeah, and in this, and as we talk about the emotion versus the brain, gut decisions really come as an emotional or as a result of an emotional something, right? An experience or bias or whatever, what we're talking about now. But that gut emotion, there's a link to that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I got.
We're in spurts today.
well, yes, we are.
Well, no, I was just so still thinking about because I think about dating.
Okay.
Thank God I still date. I would say I date my wife, right? You should never stop dating.
Correct.
But I think about the classic, and I know I'll get something for this, but whatever. Ask a woman, describe your perfect man. Oh, he's nice and he listens to me and he's caring and sharing and this, that, and the other. Show me your last 3 boyfriends.
Right, exactly.
Right? Nothing, not even in the same stratosphere, like complete, jerk, complete whatever. Right. And it's like, because what you intellectually say you want is not necessarily what you emotionally respond to.
Right.
And I think about this too, where like reviews, I can always tell when a company or a corporation is monitoring and answering reviews than a small business owner.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Because you have a beef at Perry's Steakhouse, which is a chain.
Right.
You're going to stay your claim. Somebody's going to come, we're sorry, Mr. Mosley, to hear your experience with us. We'd love to see what we can do. Please reach out to, we want all of our customers to have a great experience. Please feel free to reach out to our customer department so we can further investigate the situation.
Right, come back and give us another chance.
Right. Yes, nice.
Right.
Gail's restaurant. I'm sorry you thought the food was salty. It was not. Maybe you need to understand your palate better and understand what good cooking really is.
And don't come back.
You can feel free to take your comments and your business elsewhere.
Right.
Hold on, Buckaroo. Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
And I see it. I mean,
right.
it's real.
Right.
So that's where that emotion, that's where you just got to catch yourself sometimes, with that situation.
Right. And to that exact example, Cory, and really the dating example too, sometimes your gut tells you to do exactly the opposite of what you just did.
Right.
Because you completely lose sight of the good pieces of that experience, and you're making a decision based on the bad parts of that
you've
experience.
heard my story time and time again about the experience, best and worst,
right
belief system there. So
yeah,
so I think, and that in itself makes it unpredictable. Now, the interesting thing, because we talked about data a second ago,
correct.
I don't want to let it completely slide, though, that data can be manipulated, data can be wrong,
right?
90% of statistics are made up. See what I did there? Statistically, 90% of statistics.
Right.
So we hear about it.
Correct.
All the time.
Right.
I mean, fun fact, I don't know that I don't know, you may know this and might not know this, but a few years ago, as you're a German driver, a few years ago, there was a thing called Dieselgate.
Correct.
Right? Volkswagen was a client.
Okay.
During Dieselgate.
Okay.
And we were in charge of a very significant program that had to do with talking to customers all across the country relative to buying Volkswagens.
Right.
So imagine running a program about selling vehicles in the middle of, we kind of got it. The numbers were all wrong. So, I mean, you're talking about a massive data situation.
Correct.
That was probably one of the most. I could write a book on that chasm of time. That's several months of the things I learned about crisis management and the level of stress when you're on calls all day, all night at random times, and no one is interested in what time it is.
Correct.
Like no one's in. It's 8:30 at night. People probably home with their families.
Right.
Yeah. You want this. You want to keep this contract.
Right.
Funded? Yeah. I don't care what you're doing.
Right. Don't you know?
Yeah. Cancel that vacation. Cancel the bat mitzvah. Cancel the quinceañera. Cancel it all. Getting married? No, you're not. Cancel that too.
You might.
I think Willie ate you the button there. I missed it. Oh yeah. There we go. Okay, this is how we get off the rails. Go ahead.
And the other thing about data too is two people can look at the same data points and have very different perspectives on it.
Yes,
you can interpret it very differently. That doesn't mean that the data is
like politics.
Well, correct. Or yes,
or the Bible,
or the Bible. I mean, there's a long list of things that are in that line for sure. But it's interpretive, right? I mean, we talk about as speakers. When you give data, first of all, you don't want to give too much data, but when you do give data, give your interpretation of the data so that the people that are in the audience understand where you're coming from so that you can talk about it. It's still your interpretation. And somebody else may look at that data and see it differently.
100%. So the gut, it's kind of like, it's interesting where all this lands because it's probably going to be a blended approach, but I'm not done with the list yet. So I'll get to the list and then we'll talk about that. So next up, we said bias. Right? We just did bias and subjectivity. Okay, yeah. All right. Missed opportunities for learning.
Okay.
So an over-reliance on luck can prevent the development of systematic processes and strategic planning. Now, I am dying inside because I'm thinking about this scenario. Lord, please, I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast. I'm not gonna use names, but if the person I'm getting ready to talk about listens to the podcast, they'll know that clearly I'm talking about them. But sure. But it made me think of it because this over reliance on luck, or it makes me think about that story, about I'm an amateur in the Bible, but it makes me think of that parable, right? Willie H. knows where the guy was drowning and, was at the top of the house drowning, and the helicopter came and said, no, Jesus is going to save me. Then he sent the boat and said, no, Jesus. And then he drowns, gets to heaven. And he's like, why didn't you save me? Well, I sent a boat, I sent a helicopter, I sent all these things. Right. But the other thing it made me think about is years ago, there was a guy that had written a book. I'm going to stay very loose with this. I'm going to stay very tight had written a book. Okay. And we were having a conversation about how he was going to promote the book and some things that he was going to do. Okay. And one of his solutions to that was not, do what I got to do. I'll sell the books out the back of my car. I'm going to go to the bazaars. I'm going to go meet the people. I'm going to go get out there. His answer, and I mean with great certainty and belief, I'm not talking about ha, ha, ha. Right. His answer was, I sent a copy of the book to Oprah. So I'm figuring as soon as they get back to me, that will blow this thing up. Wow. Willie That's H. just dumb. Yeah, help me out. And the sincerity right. of his, he believed that. Right. And this book, by the way, was not even like the type of book in Oprah. It's not like it's getting the book club. It wasn't, Tuesdays with Maury or some of the things she talks about. But that literally was his game plan. Correct. Needless to say, Oprah did not call. Is there something there, Willie? Oh, I thought Willie, he had his trigger finger on. Well, so go ahead.
And in and of itself, that's not a bad thing to do. It's a bad thing to only do. Right. Like, if that's the only thing you do.
That's good. I knew you would say that. Clean it up. Yeah, I knew you would clean it up.
If that's the only thing you do.
Yeah. Well, and it was a big radio personality that was on the air that's not on the air anymore now. Right. He was going to send a copy. That was it. Right. So I get on that show, and then I get with Oprah's people. Boom. This thing was going to blow to the top of the hill. All 42 pages of that book.
That's awesome. Yeah.
More like a pamphlet.
Right. Yeah, that's not.
Available nowhere books are sold. Willie H. said. Okay. Missed opportunities for learning. We talked about it. Well, the other thing with that is gut-based decisions may lead to missed opportunities for learning from mistakes and improving decision-making skills.
Yes. And they're not as predictable. I mean, we've talked about this too. They're not as predictable. So, and they're not as repeatable. Right. Gut-based decisions are not as repeatable. And so the con of continually making gut-based decisions is you're going to feel different in different situations and based on your different experiences. So you're not going to feel the same way every time. Right. So it's hard to make more repeatable decisions.
I like it. Voice of reason. And you better believe it. Okay, next couple. I didn't realize it was a whole nother page here. I'm going to move this along. Okay, so.
We do a couple at a time.
That's what we're going to do. Think. Yeah, stacking. Stacking for a productivity hack. There you go. The productivity hack of the day is brought to you by stacking. All right, next up, inconsistency. So inconsistency in decision making. Right. I won't stack them, but this is pretty obvious. We don't belabor this, right? Decisions based on intuition. I woke up this morning, made the mistake of going on TikTok, and then made the mistake of somehow flipping over to the live section. And apparently 8 a.m. is a great time for tarot reading cards and advice. because the lady said for $22.22, you can get a partial reading.
Oh, nice.
But for $55.55,
right,
you can get a full reading.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so you could have got your cards read and everything. So, having the tarot cards, and shout out to all the astrology people. I don't want no smoke. So go ahead and do what you're saying. But I will tell you, thankfully,
right,
because my wife told me years later that she had a reading because she's into that stuff.
Okay.
And I want to just say to that woman in New York City who told my wife that we weren't going to be together and that I was not going to be her husband.
Wow.
Suck it. Find something to hit, Willie H.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, hit that. Yeah. Let the church say amen.
There you go.
Okay, I got off track. Suck it. All right. Okay, so yeah, that piece right there about the intuition, the consistency, the confusion, and the uncertainty.
Well, I mean, it's
Suck it. I like
suck
that now.
it. That's good. That's another one that we'll clip.
Are we going to get in trouble? No, that's not. I mean, that's not. Yeah, okay, we're good.
No, no, that's a good S word, 4-letter word. Yeah. That your mama won't get mad at.
Yeah, we're gonna wait till episode at least 100 before we use profanity.
Right.
We're gonna keep it clean.
But so to your point though, is are you making a gut decision at 8:00 when you're looking at tarot card readings, or are you making a decision at 4:00 when you just had the biggest lunch because you didn't eat breakfast all day, and then now you just ate and your belly's full and you're like, I can't.
Or in my world, time is not in your favor,
right?
And everything has to get done fast,
right? Immediately,
yes, ASAP,
right? So again, it's back to the point.
People didn't even want to say as soon as possible. That's why they created the word ASAP. That's why they shortened it to the acronym. Because that was too long.
ASAP.
Right. As soon as possible. Ooh, we got to shorten that. ASAP.
Right. RFN.
I just made that up.
I know you did. But I was running with it.
That's why you are the best co-host and why you're on the Grow Business Podcast, LG. Yay. That's right.
We'll roll with it.
Okay. Risk of overconfidence.
Oh, yeah.
Success attributed to luck can lead to overconfidence, causing entrepreneurs to underestimate risks and challenges. How you like them apples?
Well, I really like that one. And there's something that I say when you make changes professionally or when you go from corporate to entrepreneur. Talent transfers, success doesn't. And what I mean by that is that you can't rely on the good fortune that you had in your previous experience. You've got to go back to the beginning and restart and do that work all over again. And so making a gut-based decision in a different environment, relying on luck or looking for luck, doesn't mean you can't find it, but it means it's a lot less likely that you will.
Woo. When the church say amen. There you go. Yeah, overconfidence. That's a thing.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. Bill Gates says success is a menace. It convinces smart people that they can't lose.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yes. All right. Risk of overconfidence. Limited scalability. Gut-based decisions may work in small scale operations, but can become impractical as the business grows and requires a more structured approach. I think they refer to this as leading by the seat of your pants.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Driving the car by the seat of your pants, leading by the seat of your pants.
All those things.
Correct.
Limited scalability. Next up, ignoring expertise and advice. So relying too much on intuition can lead to disregarding valuable input from experts, advisors, and team members. Collaboration and diverse perspectives are essential for well-rounded decision making.
Yes, and that ties into one of the previous ones where we talk about bias. And because oftentimes you may get good information, but you don't like it based on what you've experienced in the past, or based on the way you think about something or the way that you see it. And so you may get really good advice, but you're like, well, my gut tells me that that's not good advice.
Yeah. And I think that's also when you get into the world of like paralysis by analysis and all these other things. And listen, I've been around long enough in this game to see what happens to some of those people who think they knew better or know better. You know, I've been around long enough to see, one location become a Walgreens. And it wasn't a strategic business move.
Right.
It was because what was there before, that owner ignored the signs of change, modernization, and all of those things that we talk about in position for growth. So, let's not do that.
Correct.
That bad.
That is bad.
That bad. Folks, this is just water. If you're watching us on YouTube, this is just water in this cup. We're just having some fun today and sharing some information. So last two, and then we get out of here, is potential for poor financial management. Financial decisions based on luck or gut feelings can result in mismanagement of resources and financial instability. Because sound financial planning and analysis are critical for maintaining healthy cash flow and sustainable growth in business.
Yes. And I think
it's tricky.
And
because I hear the word risk when I read that.
Yeah. And here's what's important to remember is that this episode is focused on the cons.
Yeah.
So we'll summarize and bring the two. We'll summarize and bring the two together. We've already done the episode, the pros of trusting your gut, and so this is really focused on the cons. And the reality of it is it's going to depend on your situation, what you're doing, and what you're dealing with. You may get to a point where you have to make a decision and you have all the information and it's going to rely on your gut. And we'll talk about that in the summary.
Yeah.
But only relying on your gut is the con that we're talking about in this situation.
Yeah. Okay, good point. And then the last one, I think, is kind of a double back, inefficiency overall.
Right.
Which is really, if you're relying on intuition or gut, that lacks kind of the rigor and the thoroughness of we talked about the data. And really it's kind of a path to really suboptimal outcomes in a lot of different ways.
Right. Well, it goes into the face of reliability and predictability, right? When you're relying on your gut, it goes back to that risk that you just talked about. It's when that's what you're doing, if it's unpredictable, it's risky.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was the list. That was the part 2 list. Now you can lay that against, go stream the whole part 1 if you didn't, if you're just coming into the chasm, welcome. If you're coming into the World of Grow Business podcast, welcome. But go back, you can reference that, but kind of in the pros, we talked about building the benefit to gut and luck, helps you build valuable relationships, allows you to innovate, creates an opportunity for market timing, so right place, right time. Resilience and adaptability, so you're not so rigid that you don't have any room to move. Attract talent, that energy, excitement begets excitement. Insights, gut can help you manage risk because it can have the opposite effect too.
Correct.
And brand development, and then also the opposite of what we just said, kind of the financial gains. So, lucky investments. I mean, there were people who got in things the right place, wrong time, and or saw vision where other people didn't.
Right.
It's the old, $1,000 invested in Berkshire Hathaway would be $20 gazillion today, like that kind of thing too. So it presents both those opportunities. So now, as always, it's make your own decision time.
Right.
But ask yourself, where does this fall?
Correct.
How do I think now? How do I think now about these things?
Right.
And does this information potentially change how I think about it moving forward, or what my considerations are, or how I'll process the next decision I have to make?
Right.
Is it 50-50? Will I use data and ask my gut? Because maybe you've just been like, I always go with my gut. Or maybe you're always like, I only look at the data. Because I believe opportunities are missed on both sides of that equation if you can't blend your gut feeling about things. I mean, it's almost, to me, that's the trifecta, right? So what is my intuition, or what does my gut say?
Right.
What type of luck can I experience in this situation?
Correct.
And then really completing that triangle is, what does the data say? Is there data to support this? And almost, Lon, I think one could beget the other.
Yes.
Right? Like, okay, great. I'm going to make a decision. What's the data say? All right, data says it's a good decision. Right. How do I feel about that decision? Even though the data says yes. Oh, well, I feel good about it. So the data says yes. I feel I've got positive vibes. I've got positive energy, whatever your thing is. The tarot reader, you paid the $55.55, got the full reading.
Right.
Because the woman, she posted, you get your question asked once you send the money in the thing. And her question was like, is John, the one for me? And so the lady was just like, no. Like she said, boy, girl, 52. The answer is no. And that was it, just moved on.
Right.
Look at her ruining relationships.
Right.
I'm going back to New York City, find that woman.
Why?
All right. Suck it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. You win. I mean,
that's right.
You win. Now, if your wife wants to go back and get her money
she
back.
She go get that 45 back or whatever it was. Yeah.
That's a different story.
You wrong.
Right. But the more time you spend going back to her, the more energy and time and money
I've never met
a
whatever they're called. A
futurist,
mystical being with a money back guarantee.
Right.
I've never heard anybody, not even Miss Cleo.
Not even Miss Cleo.
Not even Miss Cleo would give you your money back if she was wrong about the prediction.
Right.
All right, we did it.
Yeah, we did.
We got through another one with some sage wisdom.
Yeah, and it goes back to, in addition to what you said about combining the two, the answer is, should I go with my gut or should I go with data and statistics? And the answer is, it always depends, right?
Right.
It depends on.
That's your favorite. That we need one of those from him. It depends.
Well, and it does. It depends on where you are in the situation and what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
And if the data says, yes, this makes sense. Yes, this is a good idea. And your experience says, my experience and the data are aligned, then those two things complement each other. It's where they conflict that we run into that situation. And that's where the pros and cons of trusting your gut versus trusting the data or trusting the experience of others really comes into play. And that's why it depends so much. But I think it was good. I think it was good. I think it was a lot of good information.
And speaking of trust, that's why we're thankful that you trust us.
Correct.
Every week, trust us with a little bit of your time to hopefully educate you, give you some thought starters, share some perspectives, and make you laugh. I mean, if nobody's chuckling, if you're not chuckling at all, one of my clients he's now a binger.
Okay.
Like, I guess I should have gotten on him for why he has been listening since day one, but he's just kind of dug in and been binge listening to the show. And he's like, it's interesting. You're so fired up on there. Like, when we're working together, he's one of our coaching clients and working on his business. But he's like, you're kind of even key. I mean, you still have your liveliness to you when we're talking, but like, you'll really get on somebody or get on a situation on the podcast. And I love it. So if you're a repeat listener, we appreciate you coming back. We appreciate you sharing this as we continue to grow it. We're working towards this magic number of when everything's supposed to take off. You got to get in the 3 digits.
Right.
Which I guess shows commitment,
right?
And the algorithm and all this other stuff. But
whatever they say is
exactly. Whatever they say. But we're thankful to have you. We're thankful to have your streams, whether you stream us across your favorite device or you watch us on YouTube. We're thrilled to have you here. And there's good news, LG007.
Okay.
My new book.
Oh, congratulations.
Is now out. Available for purchase. Positioned for growth. Yeah. Positioned for growth. Yay. A proven strategy to modernize your business and achieve record revenues is now available on Amazon.com, or you can get it at the all-new CoryMosley.com. Just click the tab that says new book. If you are a business owner, this is a book you want to have in your repertoire.
Indeed.
Now, this is my 3rd book. I write with the same, my style is the same. I'm not packing it with 400 pages of fluffy duffy just so I can say I have a 400-page book. Nor am I interested in, being a bestseller for 5 minutes in some obscure category so I can say I'm a bestseller. I want business owners who are interested in growing their business, whether they become stuck, stalled, or stagnant, or they want to stay ahead of the learning curve. This is a great book for you, not only because I wrote it, but because it's based on 20 years of working with micro businesses, small businesses, and with 8 of the Fortune 100 companies.
Right.
And it's steeped in that, and it's modern. And if you're looking for a blueprint to not only modernize and get serious about that, it's something that you're going to find in position for growth. Order it on Amazon.com or directly on the website. If you'd like a signed copy, you can go to CoryMosley.com. Otherwise, Amazon will send it to you. It's $20. Invest $20. I only say that because so many people are into the get my free book and pay for the shipping. Now we do ship free from the website, but that's about it. Daddy wants his 20.
Right.
Okay.
Well, $1 a year, right? I mean, there you go.
KK.
Easy.
20. All right, we're out of here. I am Cory Mosley. He is LG007 Lon Graham.
Good. Thanks, Cory.
And on behalf of Willie H., this has been the Grow Business Podcast. We will see you next episode. Willie H., take us out.
Yeah, congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that goes into that. So that's awesome.
Oh, boy. Especially when you're a procrastinator. You wouldn't believe the power of a deadline. A drop dead deadline.
Right.
A do it or else deadline.
You want this to go? Then,
yeah, exactly.
Then get it here. Let's go.
For sure.
Right.
So
awesome.
But no, another good episode. I love it. Fantastic.
Good work. Yeah, and that was, that's an interesting, this one more so than any of the others that we did earlier on, because we did the pros and cons as opposed to a list, right?
Right, yeah.
This one was so con heavy that it almost felt like in pieces of it, we needed to add something, but it was
right, it was meant to be cons,
and it was hard not to say, well, we already did that.
Yeah, agreed.
And I had to remember, okay, well,
we haven't talked about it, so we're talking about the cons.
Yeah. Summarize this at the end, which is why I jumped in and said it's important to remember that this isn't all con.